just been to an absolutely amazing wedding. Good friends of ours, Sophie and George, tied the knot. Here's a quick video. Yeah, I might do a video on it very soon, but I just really want to get another video out to you guys. It's been a while. We're up to part 7, which is absolutely amazing. I really hope you're still enjoying it and watching these videos. Let's continue where we last left off, which was my mini-me head. It's gotten quite a long way. We have him completely made up in resin now. We've also filled in gaps, we've cut necks off, we've added bits of milliput. We are at the point where we are ready to put this head onto an armature, which is where it gets really exciting. But first of all, we need to have the connector that's going to go inside the head, which will connect the head to the neck. We use something called K&S brass tubes. This is them. They come in all different sizes, and what I've done is I've bought 2 that are slightly different in size. So we have one size which is slightly bigger than the smaller size. What it means is you can connect these 2 together like so, and that is how we're going to connect the head and the neck together. Okay, obviously this is too long. I'm going to chop this down. You can do it in many different ways. You can hacksaw them, or you can go down the route that I'm going to do, which is much more interesting. Let's do it. I suggest that when you do it in a vise, and you do it with a hacksaw. Okay, once you've chopped them, you want to file them down so you don't catch your fingers on it and hurt yourself. So I'm just going to do that right now. And what happens sometimes is when you cut into the brass tubing, you get a little bit of residue inside, and it's always really hard to get it out. So the best thing to do is to get your long piece of tube that you cut off and just push it through, and hopefully it'll get rid of the bits that are going inside that are going to make it harder to locate. If you push it all the way through, then you should be able to get to the inside bits and sand them off, file them down, should I say. Now just make sure that the small one goes inside the bigger one, which it does. They're all filed down. Perfect. Okay, we're at a point now where we can drill into the head to make a hole to insert the bigger brass tube inside the head, and this is so that the neck can get located within it. That involves a bit more fun with a Dremel. Here we go. Right, I've changed my Dremel. I put a sand end on it, a drill bit. It's like a big sander. You can find all sorts of different tool bits for Dremels. Just buy a multi-pack of loads of them and you'll find something that should be quite right. This is it's like a sander drill bit. I don't really know how else to explain it. What I'm doing is I'm going to drill into the head to make an opening so that I can put the bigger of the brass tube inside and pack it back out with a bit more of the old milliput. So first of all, let's mark where we want the neck to go, which will be pretty much where the spout was that we've sanded off. Okay. Mark the spot there. Let's get cracking. Stop every so often. Just this resin does melt and it can give off quite toxic smoke. I probably should have a mask on. Please make sure when you're doing it have a mask on. Not saying that I'm immune to it, I'm being very naughty, but do it in stabs and then obviously just check to see how far your brass tubing's got to go. It's got to go quite a bit, yeah. What I'm going to do is I've made the main opening now. I'm going to change my drill bit for the smaller one so I can dig deeper in without going wider, if that makes sense. There we go, smaller drill bit, that should work out just fine. It's a bit finer. Let's try again. Smoking. Perfect. We're all the way in. Okay, this is exactly what we were after. What I'm just doing really quickly now is we have the inner hole which is going to have the brass tube, but we need an outer hole for the neck to disappear into, the silicone neck that's going to get added, so then it looks like the head has got a neck that actually like comes out of the head rather than it being the other way around. It'll all make sense. It can sometimes look a bit odd when you move the neck and you see bit holes where the neck is joining up against the head. If you have an inside bit that the neck continues in, then you don't get that kind of hole or gap from the neck joining to the head. This will all make sense. You'll understand exactly what I'm on about when I show you later on, but basically I'm making that hole now. Okay, hopefully you can see that there or here. I know you can hear Rupert the dog barking. He's barking at me because I'm knocked. I think he thinks someone's knocking outside. We have an inner hole, which is where the brass tube goes. Then we've got the outer hole, which is where the silicone neck goes. Makes sense? I hope so. Let's now add that brass tube inside. Right, milliput. Don't need much at all, really. Equal amounts. I've got a lot more than I need, but better to have more than not enough. First of all, I'm going to have a tiny hole, and I'm going to pop it right in the centre. Then I'm going to get the tube itself and I'm going to push that all the way in the hole. I'm going to push it in quite tight. What it's doing is it's pressing down against the ball that I've just put in there. Then I'm going to get something small enough to push in the middle, just to make sure that that it's pushed right down, so that we can still locate with the small one. So we're going to push all the way down. There we go. Now what we have to do is we have to fill in the gaps in the hole itself around the sides, just to pack the whole of this brass tube inside the head so it doesn't move, basically. Simple as that. It's not hard. Now, depending on how big the hole is you've made, the easier it can be, but obviously you don't want to make your hole bigger than you have to, because it's more work. Just pressing it into the gaps. Get something, you can get a tool if you need, just to press it into these holes. Absolutely fine. It's a bit fiddly, but it's worth it in the end. As you know, this milliput obviously dries like cement, so you shouldn't have any issues with this brass tube wanting to come out. If you've packed tight enough, then it should be a strong enough bond for that brass tube to stay in there for a very, very long time. Make sure you don't fill out the outer hole that you've made for the neck. You need to keep that so that you've got the silicone neck will actually have room to go inside the head. If you start filling out all of that hole with this milliput, it defeats the object. Just going to smooth this all out. Make sure that there's no excess in the area where the silicone's going to go for the neck. Push all that out, or push it down, whatever's needed. We can, if we need to, sand afterwards. Sand the excess off. We're after the bit that's getting packed in, obviously. There. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a tiny little blob more inside, just to make sure that when I press down it's really packed in, and then it's got a bond right down at the bottom as well as the top. And that for me should do it. That should be a good enough locator now for the neck. And what we will do just before is we want to make sure that all of the excess hasn't gone inside the tube as well, because that can make it harder for the smaller tube to fit inside. What we can do is we can get the bigger tube that we cut from, and just make sure that that's, I'm going to use the small one. This one's been sanded so I know it fits. There we go, it's fitting inside perfectly. You can see that? It fits inside, absolutely perfect. We know it's going to slot in okay. In which case, I can now leave this to dry. Short episode, I know, but the next one I'm going to introduce the armature, which is going to be amazing for you to see. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be making this armature. I will explain all of that in the next episode. But there is a lot to learn, and that doesn't mean that you can't go off and make an armature similar to what I've got. It's very easy to do. It's something that I'm going to be looking at in the future. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, please get hold of me through YouTube itself. Let me know how this series is going for you, whether you're actually thinking about going back through them all and doing your own head at the same time as I've been doing this one. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe. Let me know what you're thinking. hit the notification icon, then you won't miss any more of these videos, and you'll keep up to date. Part 7, this is it, done. Part 8, we get the armature involved, then it really starts to get interesting. I'm very close now to actually start doing some animations. This is where I've always wanted to get to, and I'm very excited. Please keep watching, and it's going to get even better, I promise you. Thank you. My name's Ellis. This is my animated life. Keep animating, one frame at a time. I'll see you very soon.